there's a couple people. Ian's Guitar Shack and Mike Ball. Cars go fast. Yes, they do, especially here in Indianapolis. Cars go very fast here in Indianapolis. And I'm not just talking about the ones at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We moved here from Houston, Texas when I was a kid, and I remember my dad just being in awe at how fast, how fast everybody drove here. Yeah, we're used to it now, but it was pretty funny at the time. Yes, sir. How's everybody doing? Good, bad, somewhere in the middle? Not so good, not so bad? Who knows? I am, doing okay, I suppose. My first week of unemployment was actually pretty busy, but any hate for catalyst amps, as on line 6 catalyst? Ian's Guitar Shack says yes. Yes, remember that when I moved here in 1980. There you go. I don't know where you moved from, but it's a much different world in Houston, Texas. Mike Ball says yes. The line 6 catalyst amps. No, from what I understand, they seem to be pretty good. I think they might need to work on their consistency a little bit. I've sold a couple of them that have been returned. For I think one of them was one of them was faulty, defective for some reason, and I think that may have been the case with most of them. Whereas as many katanas as I've sold, I don't think I've ever had any of the katanas returned. They and that's why Line 6 came out with the catalyst amps, is because all of a sudden Line 6 Boss entered their arena with the katana series, and all of a sudden and that was Line 6's world. That's that is what they do, and that is what they do, and this is our home field. And Boss basically came in and said, "Yeah, about your home field," and basically all of a sudden became the best-selling amp in that category by a wide margin. So Line 6 had to do something to catch back up. So they came out with the catalyst specifically to compete with the katanas. So. And I think overall they did a pretty good job. Admittedly, I haven't sat down and played one myself yet, but they, feature-wise, near as I can tell, all the right features are there. So, some Phonochrome says, "Hi, Robert. Happy Saturday to everyone. And you, question, do you play live shows, or is that all in the past?" I never like to say playing live is in the past, though it's been a while since I've done it. That was primarily what I did. Was I've always played in local cover bands. I love playing in cover bands. It's just a ton of fun for me. And all of a sudden I started doing YouTube, and then YouTube started taking off, and all of a sudden I found myself making a few bucks on YouTube, and really building my own audience there, and I got away from it. But now that you mentioned that, I am right back. I'm actually in the middle of trying to put a band together right now. So we're I think I talked about that a little bit last week as well. Still need a vocalist, but we got all the other pieces in place. I think we're going to try to get together and jam for the first time this week. So, just to see how it works. So, it's not something in the past, though it's been a while, but I hope to get back to it very, very soon. Let's see. Ian's Guitar Shack says he moved from Chicago. Well, the reason people drive faster here than Chicago is because nobody drives fast in Chicago, because there's it's so fucking congested. I've driven to Chicago a couple of times in my life, and I mean, it's very easy to see why so many people just rely on public transportation. Number one, Chicago's public transportation system is great, but it's really a headache to drive in Chicago. At least it was for me. Maybe it's not. Maybe not. And I'm talking Chicago proper. Maybe it's not. That's not the case for everybody, especially if you do it every day. But for a regular old Midwestern dude like me, or a dude who lives in the Midwest anyway, it was quite the adventure. Make a wrong, and by the way, it's real easy to make a wrong turn in downtown Chicago and wind up on Lower Wacker when your GPS is telling you that you need to be on Upper Wacker. That's fun. Let's see. Don Evans, you find a new job yet, buddy? No, I did not. Couple leads. One of them I'm really excited about. I hope they haven't gotten in touch yet. I try not to get too excited about these things yet until I see that there's actually something to be excited about, because it's just too easy for that type of thing to blow up in my face. But so no, none yet. It'll come. It'll come. I'm not freaking out yet. So I've actually been working all week on YouTube, and you guys may have noticed I uploaded a video every day this week. So this is the only day that I didn't, because I knew I was doing my live stream. So yeah, it'll happen. It'll get there. So Jason Daniel Stone is here. What do we got here? Tag, share, earn. There's a shopping tab here that I didn't know. I may try to use that if we start talking about any specific products. Here, let's try. We already talked about the Line 6 catalyst. Let's see what happens. Line 6 catalyst right there. And it looks like Guitar Center even has one on sale. So if we go like the 60 watt, which would be the 112, let's add that one. Let's add the 200 watt, 212. Alrighty, so if you guys are anything, I guess here now from the live stream. Wow, that's a good deal. Line 6 Catalyst 200 watt 212 combo for $379 right now. I will add that to the pinned items. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it would look on the viewer side, but if they should see a shopping tab there of some kind, or maybe it'll pop up on your screen somehow. Anyway, so I'll get in the habit of posting products like that that we talk about, and so that way you guys can go and check them out, and that also helps out the channel, by the way. So, and as I just mentioned, with me currently being in the job market, the channel, I could use all the support for the channel I can get right now. Jason Daniel Stone is here. I can't remember if I said hello to you yet. Ian's Guitar Shack says if I was looking for a solid state amp, it would be a Katana. He typed out Katakana, so I don't know if that meant to be a cross between a Catalyst and a Katana, but if I were going to buy one right now, okay, Katana, you corrected it. If I were going to be looking for a solid state amp right now, I might go the Katana route, but I would, depending on budget, maybe not even depending on budget, I might actually go Quilter. That might be the direction I go. Quilter. Those Quilter amps are badass. Particularly, I'm really impressed with the small ones that are made to just mount right onto your pedal board. But they all sound great. I mean, half of those I can't believe they're solid state. Some Funachrome says, follow-up question. If you were to play live again, would you use an all-in-one modeler with effects, or would you use a real amp and pedal board? Real amp. Real amp and pedal board all day long. The only exception would be if I'm playing a venue with a postage stamp size stage and there's no room for an amplifier, in which case I would still use my pedal board, but just go with a preamp and a impulse response of some kind straight to the mixing board. But yeah, I wouldn't go. I mean, I'm not a modeler guy anyway. You guys know that. I'm not going to go modeler for anything until I have to. And even then, I'm not sure that I will. So, but yeah, no, for me, real amps all day long. I'm old enough now that the idea of lugging that big fucking Marshall half stack around all over the place isn't quite as fun as it once was. But I might take my trusty PV112 combo instead. But yeah, I'm still pro guitar amp. Pardon me. Don B says, hello, Robert. Thank you for the live stream. I have some guitars to sell. Which do you recommend using, eBay, Reverb, or the Sweetwater site? I have not used the Sweetwater site yet, though there's a lot of people I don't think know about it just yet. I don't think it has the reach. It does not have the reach that it once did. Or it doesn't have the reach yet that it will have. Not that it once did. That's still a pretty new thing for them. Reverb does have a lot of reach, but Reverb's weird because all the sellers list their shit for the top dollar price they could possibly list it at. All the sellers think that their shit is gold because it's theirs, and all of the buyers, won't buy it unless they're getting, unless they feel like they're getting the deal of the century. So, there's a huge gap there that's not. Buyers and sellers are not on the same page there. eBay still has the widest reach, and not only does it still have the widest reach, but I think buyers are a little bit more reasonable. Oh, and I just got a text message. Speaking of my job search, I got a text message from a now former customer of mine. I'm not going to read it to you guys, but he was calling to touch base and say hello. So my buddy Paul Bielotovich. I'm going to reply back to him real quick. Okay, but alrighty, sorry about that. Paul may come hang with us. I don't know. I guess we'll see what he says. Paul is he's first for starters, he's a monster guitar player, and not only is he a great guitar player, he's he plays in Carl Palmer's band. Carl Palmer of Emerson, Lake and Palmer fame. He is Carl Palmer's guitar player in Carl Palmer's solo band. Looks like he may come in. Let's see. Anyway, so back to the used gear, the selling of the used gear. Usually what I do, honestly, I list it in multiple places. I list most everything that I have for sale in eBay, Reverb, and usually Facebook Marketplace. And Facebook Marketplace is the new Craigslist. You get all the bullshit people wasting your time, the lowball offers and stuff like that. But on occasion, you actually get somebody that wants to, that's actually serious and willing to pay for it. And in which case, it's a matter of meeting up somewhere local and actually doing a cash deal. So there are advantages to it. But I usually list said gear in all three of those places. And even as much as I hate reverb, I still list it there just in case it does sell there first. So, and then obviously if it sells in one of those places, I take the listing down in the other two. Just make sure that if you do that, just make sure your listings are consistent, particularly with price and information about the item. Because it's pretty easy for people to tell if it's the same thing, same listing they've already looked at somewhere else. So, where are we? Ian's Guitar Shop. Wish you well in your future, Robert. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will, like I said, it'll work out. I'll land where I land. I don't want to mention who I've been speaking with. As far as where I might wind up, for a couple reasons. One, it hadn't happened yet, and two, if anybody else out there is in the same position, I don't want them knowing what I'm looking at. So, let's see. My knees hurt. Don B, my knees hurt wants to know if you got any SGs for sale. Block of Delighters here. It's from Robert. Any recommendations for a boost pedal? Define boost pedal. And the reason why I ask is because nowadays, the term boost pedal, nowadays so many people seem to be referring to an overdrive, as opposed to an actual. Well, here. Let's see. Here, tell you what. Let's go. Okay, see, I got so many damn pedals now. I can't even decide which one to show you guys for the example I'm trying to show you. So, boost pedal. TC Electronic Mini Booster. This is actually legitimately a boost pedal. This is a 20 dB boost. That's what that does. Versus this is the high wind amplification Direwolf Overdrive, which is a take on a tube screamer circuit. You can see I showed this one last week actually. I think it's got all kinds of knobs and switches and and tone shaping options on it. That's beside the point. The point is this is an overdrive. So I guess by boost I need a little bit more context of what you're wanting to do with it. Tom Evans down in the super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that very, very much for the donation. That will go a long way towards Robert getting to keep his house this month. Let's see. Behind you, or where was I? Mr. Marty 5555. What is that behind you on your right, my left? That's flashing. Looks like something. It's something. Oh, I see what it is. It's actually nothing. I think it's a reflection on either that or the this cable right next to it. Something. There's nothing flashing over there. What it is, I mean, it's my ceiling fan spinning around and a reflection of one of the lights coming off of it, and that just happens to be where it's hitting. So, sorry about that. Didn't mean for that to be a distraction. My knees hurt says, I want a bass amp and cab, but it's confusing for me. It needs to be able to keep up with drums. Whew. And I don't know. I mean, I guess Gallien Kruger is still my favorite bass amp. You know, if I were going to buy a bass amp right now, that's probably what it would be. RB something or other. RB7, you know, what is it, 1001? I think is what it is. GK make awesome bass amps, man. Well, I mean, that's really about all they make, but they make awesome bass amps. Love their bass amps. Looks like Don B does in fact have an SG for sale, 1976 standard walnut finish with the original case. No breaks or repairs. Cool. Ian's Guitar Shack says, yes, you win pedal board amp for gigging. That is the direction I would go in that situation. So, you know, the guys that I'm getting ready to. Hey, Paul did make it in here. Paul Bielotovich, what's up, dude? If this band that I'm trying to put together, if it actually does get off the ground, one of the guys actually has a full practice setup in his basement. So me and the other guitar player just got to worry about bringing our guitars with us and pedal boards and plugging into Brian's amps. Gigging obviously is gonna be a little bit different story, but you know we don't need anything. You know, I mean he's got, you know, even his amps he's got a 5150 and a EVH 5150 that is, and I think what are the other ones? Old Ampeg BL, one of those, I can't remember. He's got a couple of really cool amps though. Let's see. Tom Evans, have you tried or reviewed any Mojo hand effects pedals? I have not. That brand, isn't that I don't know if they're a Sam Ash brand or not, but around here they seem to be the only ones that carry them. You know, even Guitar Center doesn't have them, so you know I don't know if that's if they have a deal with Sam Ash or if that's one of their proprietary. I don't think it's a proprietary brand, but at any rate, you know I've heard a lot of great things about them. I've never gotten my hands on them. My niece says, what PV combo do you have? Just if you're assuming that's directed at me, mine it's just a 6505 plus 112 combo. Had it for that amp had been out for less than 6 months when I bought it. It was still pretty new on the market. So you know if that tells, and it's been out of production for several years now. If that tells you how long I've had it. Pardon me. Don Evans says, I own two of the VB Viper X2s and X1s. They can do anything you need. They are, you know, I mean, all those, you know, that's kind of the idea behind all those modeling amps is, you know, ultimate versatility. You know, that's, and you know, Line 6 basically built their company on that. So, you know, pack as many features into one box as they possibly can, and everybody realizes there's a lot of money to be made in that concept. So now there's a whole market for it. Let's see, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Looks like you guys might be working out deals to buy gear from each other. Nothing wrong with that. A Robert, your recommendation to run into the front of a high gain tube amp. Regarding, okay, so you know, I think this is, yeah, the boost pedal. Okay, so yeah, so you need an overdrive pedal. You know, and again, you know, depending on what the amp is, you know, and if are you using it for a gain boost, or you using it for a clean boost, you know, there's, depending on how you're going to use it. I mean, I would still probably default to, you know, my trusty old, I mean, the Blues Driver, Boss Blues Driver, and all of its iterations, and the OCD, full tone OCD. Those are probably my two favorite overdrive circuits, you know, types of overdrives. overdrives, period, really. So I mean, if it were me, I would probably go with one of those. But and the Blues Driver, I think, is probably the direction I would go, because if it's a high gain tube amp, you don't need a lot more. You don't need that much of a high gain overdrive in front of it. Otherwise, it kind of turns into Mud City to begin with. Slight gain boost is what you're after. I'm assuming for like a solo boost or something. Slight gain boost and really more of a volume boost is probably more what you're after, I would assume. But yeah. Or there's could the old fashioned tried and true tube screamer. There's certainly no shortage of tube screamer circuits on the market. Yeah, I don't know. Really the best advice I can give you, try a bunch of them and see which one you like best. I mean, you might even find that a distortion pedal is to your liking. I mean, go watch that video that I did a few weeks or a couple months back on the Rat pedal stuff. I think it was titled Why I Used to Hate Rat Pedals, or Why I Hated Rat Pedals, I think was the title of it. I used it as a boost in that pedal going into my Randall Diavolo head, and it sounded pretty kick-ass. So try that. Paul Bielotovich, Pigtronics Class A boost is also pretty tasty. It is. I agree, and I have one of those as well. I almost grabbed that one instead of the Spark Mini Booster, but it's pretty awesome. That's a good boost, and it's loud as hell too. I think it's also 20 dB. It might be a little bit more than that. I don't know, but it's a good pedal. Pardon me. How many watch for the bass amp? I'm assuming you guys are still talking about swapping gear amongst yourselves. Martian Murray, a job idea I've been kicking around is getting a pedicure and selling feet pics. Hey, if you can find a market for that, hey, why not? Paul Fuchs says, in response to your Gibson video, I recently got 2 new curly era guitars, an SG that is flawless, and a Flying V with a big finish crack in the neck. Well, the finish crack, it can be attributed to anything. I mean, that is, they are nitro, so hell, that could have happened at shipping. That could have been, who knows, I'm not excusing it. I'm just, if you bought it used is all I'm saying. I don't know if you bought it new or used. But the SG that's flawless, on the other hand, is encouraging. I think they've. I don't want to go so far as to say they've turned the corner, but I think they're still getting a bad rap when they shouldn't be getting quite as bad of a rap as they as maybe they want. I certainly don't think they should be getting as bad of a rap as they used to, and I don't think that they should be they should be getting as beat up as they are still. Sumit Kumar says, hey from India. What's up, dude? Hey from the U.S. That is a long way. I don't know how many viewers. I know I got several viewers like in the UK and a few others scattered across Western Europe. I don't know that there's too many people to watch my channel beyond that, though. Some in Australia, I guess, but. Ian's Guitar Shack says, I'm not a gigging guy, though, just play at home at the shack. I mean, technically that's what I do too. I just happen to do it in front of a video camera. So, there's nothing wrong with that. And, from a retail, from a guy that sells gear for a living, you'd be surprised how many customers walk in and are serious, legit customers, and all they do is play at home as bedroom players or hobbyists, whatever, if you want to call them that. That's a large chunk of the population, and there's nothing wrong with that. Oops. Let's see. I have a PV Bandit 75, as loud as it is heavy. I've been putting off buying one of those. Guitar Center had a couple of nice used ones because the red stripe PV Bandit is the one I want. My understanding, the way that what I've heard, that's of all the iterations of the PV Bandit, the red stripe is the one to have, followed by the, I guess what they call the silver stripe version. But it's the red stripe that I want, and I have. GC had a couple of used ones on their site for about $150 a piece, and I'm not in a position. I'm not buying a whole lot of gear right now, which is why I didn't pull the trigger. But I was pissed. Of course, they were all gone in a few days. That was a pretty good price on those. But they do pop up for that kind of money fairly often, so maybe I can time it right. I've wanted one of those for a while, just because everybody raves about how good of a pedal platform it is. So. I want to see what I'm missing. That might be a good little gigging amp if it's, I don't know. You're right, though. They are kind of big and bulky and heavy. Ambrose, hey Robert, haven't caught a live in a while. Glad to see you. Well, you haven't caught one because I haven't been doing too many live streams here, here recently. I mean, I did. This is probably my third or fourth one, maybe. Third or fourth one that I've done here recently. But prior to that, I don't think I got away from doing the live stream thing for. I bet you I hadn't done this for 9 months, close to a year maybe. I mean, I get burnt out on it after a while, and then they're it just. Sometimes, especially as the weather starts to get warmer, there's going to come a time I'm gonna much rather be out playing golf right now on Saturday afternoon. So, down to Super Chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Get a mezcalita and Oaxaca for me. I don't know what a mezcalita is, but it sounds like that might be. I don't know. Is that a beverage, or is that a dish? I don't know, but I certainly can't wait to try it. Sounds good, whatever it is. You guys know I love Mexico and Mexican food. Let's see. My niece hurt says, I do not know watts/amps for bass amp. That is what is holding me up from buying. I mean, with bass amps, with guitar amps, it usually 50, 60 watts is more than enough. In most cases, that's usually enough for you to be able to keep up with the drummer and cut through the mix and, hear yourself, pretty well, all that kind of stuff. With bass amps, it's, that it usually starts at about 100 to 200 watts. And again, it just depends on the amp. Because of SPL and, efficiency and all that kind of stuff. I mean, 100 watts is not 100 watts is not 100 watts. 100 watts is not created equal in all different forms of even bass amps. So, I mean, I would rather, if I were going to tell you to, I don't know. Really, I would say find an amp that you like the sound of first, and then worry about how much power that you need after that. I will tell you, the Mark-based stuff is, you get a lot of power for in a pretty small package of most of those amps. It's a lot. Same is true with a lot of the Gallion Kruger stuff. They've got a micro series. At least at one time they did. Little bitty heads, bass heads like that. That had 200 or 300 watts, stuff like that. So, I mean, there's lots of stuff out there. And most any bass amp that you find is going to have a a mid wattage and a high wattage, and I mean, you'll be able to find different levels of power. So, who was that? Block of the Lighter says, here's some foreign funding, 15 euros. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very, very much. My knees hurt. Says I sprayed 2 quarts of nitro yesterday on stainless steel. Nitro on stainless. I don't know what that would be for. Certainly not a guitar. Interesting. Don Evans says, don't get a Tube Screamer Mini. Sounds like trash, too nasally, not nearly enough dirt. Just my opinion. I have one. I mean, it's the TS Mini is. Here, let me grab it. Let me grab it. I'll show you guys. Zoe seems to think she's found somebody. So, your Tube Screamer Mini. Right there, right? I mean, you can tell just by looking at it. I mean, it's a miniature version of the TS-808. The original Tube Screamer is what it is. So, as opposed to the TS9. Pardon me. Sorry, guys. Let me add these things here while I'm thinking about it. Spark Mini Booster, still $50. And I haven't had I have a Tube Screamer Mini. So pretty cool. I kind of like this product feature. Very cool, actually. Though it won't let me pin that particular product. Okay, anyway, that's beside the point. Sorry, I'm having fun screwing around with my with some of YouTube's new streaming features. The popular version of the Tube Screamer is the TS9, right? Not everybody, but a lot of them, when they say that they're when they're using a Tube Screamer, specifically an Ibanez Tube Screamer, it's like I said, the TS9 is the popular version. The TS10 has gotten so ungodly expensive that most people can't afford to get a hold of one of those now. The TS7 is a pretty good version, that has a version of the TS9 circuit in it. And then, of course, there's the old TS5, which is the plastic sound tank series. But most of those are generally takes on the TS9. So, the TS-808 is a little bit different. I actually don't like the sound of the TS-808 quite as much as I do the TS9. But I don't think it's a nasally is not how I would describe it. So. But it's, with these things, it's only $80, for an $80 legit Ibanez Tube Screamer, made in Japan, by the way. I don't know if you guys can read that or not. Let me see. Let's go back here to, oh, shit. Well. I don't know. I guess now I got to see if it froze. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Anyway, we shall see. That's really going to suck if it did. Let's see. It says we're still cooking. All right, you guys are... Okay, well, the chat's still moving, so that's good. Okay, so it didn't disconnect the internet. We'll try to turn the camera off and back on and see what happens. Here, I better... All right. Okay. Is there a refresh button? There needs to be a damn refresh button here in Streamlabs. Transform, groove, yada. No, still. Technical difficulties. Well, maybe let's try that. Unlock source. No. Alrighty. Let's see here. Yeah, we're dropping viewers pretty quick here too. So I'll tell you what. I am going to have to reset. If you guys can hear me, I'm going to try to reset Streamlabs and see if that fixes it. Hopefully, I don't know if that's going to kick me out of the chat or not, or kick me out of this this particular live stream or not. If it does, you know, I'll fire up a new one right away. Just be on the lookout. So, let's see what happens. Back to live. Alrighty. Hey, I think I salvaged it. I think I figured it out. Okay, cool. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Where were we? Tube Screamers. Already talked about that. Okay. Guitar Tim says, haven't been able to be here. It's so cool having you back. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always enjoy doing these, and then, like I said, then I get burnt out for a while, and then the weather starts getting better, and, you know, my attention gets focused elsewhere, and, you know, then when I get back to doing these, I always realize how much I enjoy doing these. So this is actually a lot of fun for me, hanging out with you guys, just, you know, talking gear. I do not know if my Bandit has a stripe at all. If it does, it's silver. The clean channel on my Bandit is insanely clean. The red stripe and I think what they call the silver stripe, those are both out of the Trans Tube. That's the Bandit out of the Trans Tube series. That's what those, like I said, those are the ones everybody seems to want. You'd know it if it was a red stripe. Pardon me. Let's see. And if I scrolled past your question and missed it, just drop it in the chat again. I'll get to it, I promise. I'm right now just trying to keep up. Let's see. Allen Aviation. I'm sorry. Allen Aviation. Hey, Robert, any experience with PV Valking VK100? There's a head on Craigslist for $300. Yeah, they're okay. I mean, it's those they came out to specifically. I mean, it was PV came out with those for a poor man, to be a poor man's tube head. That's what they are. They sound really okay. I've never cared for them much, to be honest. I don't have much experience with the updated version. They came out with a Mark II several years back, which, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of experience with. The originals, though, we sold those a lot at Guitar Center when I was there at the store. They've been around for a while. There's a bunch of them out there, but like I said, they're okay, but they're not my favorite. If mezcalita was a drink, well, I'll tell you what. I'll put it towards a beverage of some kind. I actually don't drink alcohol, so I would have to pass on the mezcalita. But I will find something equally as good to put it towards that that I can have. So. And speaking of the super chat, Slacker Deluxe says, people used to laugh when I said I wanted to be a comedian. Well, no one's laughing now. That's interesting. Oh, that's funny. Thank you very much for the super chat donation. I appreciate that. Pardon me. Paul Bielatovich, thoughts on Quad Cortex. As far as modelers and processors go, I mean, that seems to be one of the top ones on the market right now. There is, a lot of people are after those things, and from what I've heard, they do sound pretty cool. The problem is they're, I don't think they're Sweetwater exclusives anymore, but their dealer network where you can buy them is very, very limited, and Sweetwater's still selling by far the vast majority of them. I think Vintage King or somebody else like that might have them when they have them, but they are a little pricey, but they're pretty. They seem to be pretty in line with the, at least the old price of the Line 6 Helix before they just recently dropped the price on those. But they seem to be right in line with the Helixes and the Boss GT1000s and the new one that, oh shit, who was it? The Prime just came out. Why can't I think of the whoever the hell it is that makes that now? Head Rush. Thank you, Google. The Line 6, the Line 6, the Head Rush Prime processor is in that category as well. So, the Quad Cortex is a little bit pricier than those. The Fractal, is another one. The Quad Cortex is in the same category as those, of course. And really seems to be, might even be outperforming it, if you, according to a lot of people that are more into that sort of thing than I am. But I'd no reason why I wouldn't recommend it though. Yep, Quad Cortex, Robert approved. Use Guitar Shack says I like my GK 115 combo. If it's, they have a 115 combo that had a neodymium speaker in it that was like really, really lightweight and had a lot of power. a good amp once upon a time. I don't know if they're still making that or not, but. FRC says, I joined a little late. Sorry, you lost your job. What kind of work do you do? Well, to be clear, I was laid off, so I wasn't fired or anything like that. It was a corporate decision, so it certainly wasn't performance based. But what I do, I sell gear for a living. And what I've been doing for the last 4 years is working in the business division. I'm not gonna say the company that I worked for, even though Paul knows because he bought a ton of gear from me. But I don't like to affiliate my full-time employer with my YouTube channel for various different reasons. The main reason being is if I happen to be, as a guitar player on a guitar channel, if I happen to be doing a demo of, a Gibson Les Paul or something that I think is dog shit, and I'm not saying I think they are, it's just an example. That could be easily construed as a conflict of interest by my employer if I make it known who my employer is. It's not a secret. I just don't like to represent any of my other full-time employers while I'm on YouTube. Anyway, but my previous employer, I was working in their business division, working with selling all different kinds of gear to pros like touring artists like Paul and. As well as PA systems and stuff like that to houses of worship and schools and other education accounts, pro studios, government, concert venues, bars, restaurants, that kind of stuff. So, that's all I've been doing for the last 4 years. And then of course I was on the consumer side for several years before that. But so yeah, I'm an MI guy. I'd like to stay in the industry. Is what I'm trying to do. I've got I'm talking to a couple of local places, but I think really what I would, if I can make it happen, if I can find the right position, and these jobs are hard to find, or hard to get anyway. I'd like to find a position as a product rep with with a brand of some kind, a Fender or an ESP or really doesn't even have to be a guitar brand. Sennheiser, Shure, EV, QSC, somebody like that. That's really the next step that I would like to make. But like I said, those jobs are hard to get. Number one, and finding one that's even finding one that's the right fit is even harder. So. That's why I say I don't know where I'm going to land just yet. Ambrose says, almost completed my Steel Panther pedal collection. The only one missing is the 87 pedal, but honestly, they sound really good, especially the Poontang Boomerang. I've demoed several of them. I think 3 of them. At least 2 of them. A buddy of mine had 2 of them, and he shipped them to me to demo a couple of years ago, and they are pretty cool. They're made by TC Electronic, but the Steel Panther provenance to them is really what makes those pedals cool. They sound okay. They're not they don't sound great. I don't think. But they sound good, but just not stand out. Like this is amazing. Whereas this tone been all my life. That's not what I heard out of them. But they are good distortion and overdrive and delay sounds that you get out of them. But it's the Steel Panther provenance out of those that makes those cool, and the values on those things have freaking skyrocketed. Let's see. Okay, that's what everybody's telling me. This is when my screen was frozen. Sorry about that, guys. Infamous says YouTube has been weird the last 48 hours. Probably not on your end. This one was, because it's the way that this works is, I've got to, I hit the, I go to the streaming section on the YouTube Studio portion of YouTube, and go to live stream, get that all set up, and then I actually used another software Call, and there's lots of them out there. A lot of them use, OBS. This is one called Streamlabs OBS that I use, which is basically the same thing. The gamers hate it for some reason, but for my purposes, it's fine. It just seems to be a little bit easier to use and easier for me to set up. So, but then I got to go into Streamlabs and turn it on until to go live. The two have to connect and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, it was Streamlabs that froze on me. So, but that's not the first time that's happened. It's good to know that now I know how to fix it when it does happen. Oh, let's see. Don Evans says, the only good use for a TS Mini is a high-end solo cut boost through a Crank PV Classic 30 with the preamp on 10. Tubular Bill says, do you know what the best humbucker pickups are to put into an ES335 style guitar? I would say something something moderate to mid output, low to moderate output, really. I would recommend staying away from the high output stuff in a semi hollow body guitar because it's the sustain can get away from you in those guitars in a big hurry. I once saw a guy, I didn't deal with him specifically, but I once saw a kid that brought his, it was an Epiphone semi hollow body of some kind, brought it into the guitar shop, wanted a set of, he was a teenager. He wanted a set of, active EMGs installed in it. So of course they did it because it's what he wanted, but they warned him, said, here's some shop rags. You might need to stuff these into those F holes, if the sustain and the squeals start getting out of hand, because it's very likely going to happen with those pickups in that guitar. So stay away from the high output stuff is my advice, Eminence, Missouri. Nope, don't know anybody there. Don't even know where that is. Let's see. My niece heard that I play my guitar through a looper and then play my drums with myself. Not a bad plan. It's actually a pretty good way to, if you're wanting to play drums, pretty good way to get a backing track going, especially if it's an electronic drum kit with a brain, you can loop the looper pedal into that somehow. Tubular Bill says, I have a Firefly style ES335 that I would like a lot, except the pickups. Yeah, stay away from, like I said, stay away from the high output stuff. I would, if you're looking for like specific pickup recommendations, I don't know, man. I mean, I would, if you don't, if you're willing to spend the money on Gibson pickups, because you're going to spend a little bit more on those, some of the burst, I like the Burstbucker Pros, the 57 Classics, I think are also sound really good in guitars like that. If you'd rather go the Seymour Duncan route, then maybe, the 59. The 59 or I'd probably go the Jazz model now that I think about it. Jazz model would be a real good pickup for that. Oh, let's see. Okay, so that's where we're back. Yep, works. I thought my YouTube was bugging. King Taco says. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get caught back up in the chat. You guys are chatty today and way ahead of me, which is good. I'm not complaining. The more you guys chat, the more that I'm able to talk and not let dead space take over, which I really, really don't like to do, because that gets really, really boring, and let's face it, you guys aren't here for that anymore than I am. Don Evans said, Allen Aviation, the Valve King absolutely sucks. That's probably the only PV product that I will say that about. I wouldn't say it sucks. That's a little bit harsh, but like I said, it's not my favorite PV amp, but I don't want to. I mean, I've heard a lot worse amps out there than the Valve King. My Bandit is fully solid state with a spring reverb tank, which makes a great noise when you move the amp while it's on. Clang, clang, clang. Don Evans says, I like the teal stripe band the best. Here, I think you're going to get a lot of opinions on that, but I think for for a pedal platform, which is what that amp seems to be the most popular for, the red stripe and the silver ones seem to be, the trans tube series ones seem to be the way to go. I don't know. I'm going to try to pick one up here later this year. I don't know. We're going to have to see. Like I said, I'm not buying amps right now, for obvious reasons, but we'll see what happens down the road. Hey, Jeff 7 is here. Says, greetings and salutations, guitar nerds. Robert, what are your thoughts / opinions on the current prices of the used gear market? I think it's out of fucking control, if you really want to know. And it's some of these used prices right now are absolutely insane. I mean, like redonkulously insane. I'm seeing guitars that I bought. What do I got? What do I get that's in reach that I can show you guys real quick? Here, let me look something up real fast, and then I'll show you. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see, and I'm just looking up a guitar that I've got hanging up here right in front of me that you guys can see. Okay, so you guys should be able to see here on camera. This is my BC Rich Joey Jordison Signature Warlock. This is the neck through version. So there's a couple versions of this guitar. This is the neck through. This is the expensive one. Okay, and by expensive, I mean when this guitar was new. Joey's been dead for a few years now, and the guitar I think has been discontinued longer than that. But when I say the expensive version, I think that guitar sold brand new for $9.99 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. So $1,000 guitar, by today's standards, which is probably about $1,200-$1,300. So certainly not out of reach, not too far out of reach for a lot of people. Now, if we go look this thing up here on the Evil Bay, let's have a look-see. Oops, is that right? There's one that's sold less than 2 months ago for $2,000. $2,000. And there's some others, somebody else is trying to get 26 for theirs, although that's in Australia, so that's probably pretty accurate too. And then there's the cheap version, that was about a $500 or $600 guitar at the time, now somebody's trying to get 13 for that, and over in Japan. So knock a couple $100 off of that for shipping, at least here to the U.S., and then that's probably around 11. And again, that one's double what it was new, and that's. This is what I keep seeing with BC Rich, with a lot of the used market, and now I'm sure a lot of it also depends on the gear, even the brand in question, or BC Rich in particular seems to be going through the roof right now, but there's other stuff that you used to be able to find really, really reasonable prices, and pardon me, it's just out of control right now. This COVID thing really did a number on the world economy and every facet of it. So, and we are still feeling the effects of it, especially in our industry. thoughts on the Tone X, the digital AI system used to improve the model? Seems like it only gets better with time. I haven't gotten a hold of a Tone X pedal. I really would like one though, because it seems like a really really affordable option to things like the Kemper, the Quad Cortex, stuff like that. The Kemper in particular. So, and they're what, $300-400, something like that. I mean, they're really pretty affordable. There's also I have the plug-in version actually, but I've never used it. I'll be honest. I need to do some. I may do a video on that. Let me learn how to use it. Let me learn how to use the plug-in, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that. I tried to get a hold of a pedal from IK Multimedia, but they, unfortunately, they didn't respond back to me. So I don't know that I will get an opportunity to demo the pedal for you guys here, but maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe they'll decide they got time to talk to me about it. So. Release. Okay, there we go. That's why. Now let me pin the mini Tube Screamer mini thing on this product, or this shopping tab here is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys can see it on your end, but this is pretty cool. Every time we talk about something current, I can come in here and search for it and see if it's in YouTube's database. I can add it to the tab there, and you guys can go check it out. So that's pretty neat. Let's see. Tone X. IK Multimedia. $399. That's right. Yeah, $400. $399 for the IK Multimedia Tone X modeling amp and distortion pedal. And now they've got a reamping device. I think that just came out. Interesting. Okay. That's not alrighty. Let's see, where were we? Google says my PV Bandit's from the late 80s, early 90s. Probably the late 80s, early 90s. If it's the teal stripe, that's the one with the blue teal stripes on it, obviously. If there's no stripes on it, but that's honestly, it sounds like the silver stripe, the trans tube series, or the one right before they started calling them trans tube, but that's I think they're the same amp. Tone X just deep faking amps and does a great job at it. Gently strokes his Tone X pedal in front. Well, that's kind of the name of the game, is fake other amps, or as best you can. I mean, that's what the Kemper does, with the profiling things. Or David Hill, my buddy of mine that does the Practical Guitars podcast, he had a Kemper there for a while, and he was trying to get in touch with all of his friends, wanting to model their amps so he could build up his amp library. Or wanting to to profile all their amps, I think is the right terminology. Let's see. My church has a PV Basic 50 that's got to be 30 years old. I just put fresh input jacks in it and should be good for another 20 years. If an asteroid ever hits the planet, I mean, the only things that are going to survive are bacteria and Boss pedals and PV amps, old PV solid state amplifiers. Ian's Guitar Shack recommended TV Jones pickups. That's actually, you know what? For a semi hollow body guitar. You're right. I totally forgot about those. That's a way better recommendation for semi hollow body than anything I said. Forget what I said. TV Jones pickups are the way to go for that. Fried Rutabaga says the Pearly Gates. That's also a pretty good option as well. That's the Pearly Gates. That was Billy Gibbons. That's the pickup that they make designed for Billy Gibbons tone. Christian Kappel says, good evening from Denmark. Microphone, guitar, DK. MPC Pod 101 says, have you ever tried facing a mic on the grill cloth of a PA system? The mic is attached to the best of tones. It sounds like, if I ever tried micing up a PA system, I mean, which would be, a loop of feedback. I guess that's, I guess I don't understand what exactly you're describing there. Block of Lighter says, if you try the Tonex plug-in, ignore it if it whines about levels too low, go by ear. I generally do that with most of my plugins anyway, because, I mean, let's face it, I'm not much of a studio guy. I mean, I record short tracks to demo gear, and that's about the extent of my recording skills. I do it well enough to be able to do that. I've said before, nobody's beating down my door asking me, wanting me to record their next album. Let's see. I have a joke where I say how metalheads are music communists. They believe in one collective method to metal tone, aka the most collectivist music ideology. A lot of them do. Metal players are, especially nowadays, everybody kind of seems to be after the same type of, the same type of tone. I hear all these, like on Facebook, it's kind of funny because I hear all these people with their, recorded sounds of their amps. Their new high dollar, high gain amplifiers that they just got, of course, using a SM57, parked right up against a vintage 30 cab of some kind. The gain cranked to 11, and tube screamer in front, or whatever their favorite boost. I mean, they all sound about the same. They really do. So. And it's not that it's a bad sound, but I oftentimes have a hard time, hearing, when anybody, whenever anybody posts a video like that, I'm like, okay, sounds good, but what's different compared to, the 20 other videos like this and the same guitar amp group that went up before yours. And Paul Bielotovich is hitting the road. See you, dude. Have a good tour. So, I assume you're out on tour right now anyway. Or if not, I know you soon will be based on a text message. So, Don Evans says, which Marshall did you list as your number one on your list of your favorite amp? 800 or 900? Do they make that amp in a combo? Looking to buy my first Marshall, but I'm a combo guy. Thanks. Oh, boy. I love both of those amps for different reasons. If I'm being honest, because the JCM 800. I mean, that amp just defined the sound of the entire 80s rock and metal decade. Everybody was using JCM 800s. Hell, a lot of those guys that are still playing are still using JCM 800s. Oh man, did my screen freeze again? Yeah, it just froze again. God damn it. Alright, refresh again.